Alright, Scouts 311 here, back with our Arkham Horror with the Innsmouth expansion playthrough that I don't feel is going well. So, I read that Innsmouth, I could be wrong, but I believe Innsmouth is one of the harder expansions to add to the game, and I can see it. And we haven't even gotten to parts on that board where, like, the deep one stuff starts happening. We're just getting nailed. Like, our ancient one is already over halfway done, and we barely even had a chance to do anything yet. One thing I did forget to do, though, at the end of last turn, because at the end of the Mythos phase, we have to pull one of those in-mouth look cards. At the end of every Mythos phase, the first player draws one Innsmouth look card. So we shuffle these up, and that's Mandy, so we have to draw the top card. And it says, that night I dreamed. Great watery spaces open up before me, and I seemed to wander through titanic sunken porticos and labyrinths of weedy cyclopean walls with grotesque fishes as my companions. You do not have the Innsmouth look. Nothing happens. Alright, so that's good for us. So now we gotta shuffle these up, though. And so at the end of every Mythos phase, we have to do that with the current first player, who was Mandy at the last turn. Okay, so shuffle those up. And we didn't get in trouble for that turn. So now at the start of each upkeep phase, we need to roll for the Trembling Earth. If we roll a 1, the terror level increases, and we get a 2 again, so that hasn't hurt us yet. And now we have the upkeep phase. We have to decide what we're doing, so I'll be right back. Okay, so the movement phase here. Joe Diamond is in another dimension, and since he is delayed because of the last card he had, he just flips up, and he just stays there. So then Min is up, and Min is actually going to move out of another dimension to the woods. So even though there's a gate here, and you don't get sucked back through it if you leave the other world to come back through, what you do is you take one of these tokens, which shows that you explored the other world, and you put it here for Min. Which means that she could stay here. As long as she stays here with this Explorer token, she could try to close this gate. Even if she fails, the next turn she won't get sucked through. She could continue to try to close the gate. If she ever moves off of this space, she actually loses this Explorer token. And if she ever comes back before closing the gate, then she has to go all the way back through the other world again to come back through. The problem with Min is we don't want her to close the gate for a couple of reasons. One, she doesn't have enough clue tokens to seal it. And two, if she closes that gate and Joe Diamond ends up coming through the gate, and that gate, there's no another dimension gate on the board when he comes through, which there won't be if she closes it, he gets lost in time and space, which is another part of the game here, where he basically loses his turn, and it gets really nasty for him. So what we're going to do is have her move out. And I think as a movement, she just comes out. I don't think she can move anymore. I was trying to look it up to see how it works, and I didn't find any information that she could move anymore. So I think she just stays here. And the problem is, I don't think she can encounter the woods space, because if there's a gate, you can't encounter the space. So from my looking up how it works, the only thing I can consider is that she doesn't do anything on the encounter phase, which is a little odd, but that's the only thing I can see from what I looked up in the rules. And the Innsmouth rules actually has a fax in the back with some questions, and there's nothing about that. So I'm just going to go with my gut on that one. That she just won't be able to do anything this turn, and next turn she'll be able to actually move, and she'll lose her chance to close the gate, but he'll end up coming through to try to seal it. And then what we're going to do with Mandy is use her Find Gate spell, which she does on her movement. So this is the first time we'll be casting a spell. So if you look at Mandy here, she has to spend 1 sanity to cast this. So she had 3, so she goes down to 2 sanity now. And she casts it at a -1 modifier. And when you cast spells, you use her lore. So I used Mandy's 2 focus to move her lore up to 4. So she has as much lore as possible right now. And that puts her at a 3 roll to get this spell cast. It's 3 dice. 4 minus the 1 modifier for the spell itself. So we need a success to cast this spell successfully. Now, even if we fail, we still lose the sanity we did to cast it. So that's one thing about spells. You could still lose them. Oh, and she fails. God! 3, 4, and a 3. Of course, we don't want to spend clue to re-roll because that's she wouldn't be able to seal the gate. I was hoping to get her through without having to go through the other world. So since she failed on her movement phase to do that spell, she still gets to move, though. So she still gets to go to the City of the Great Race, I believe. So she'll go there and take 1 extra turn to get out. I was hoping to get her out this turn. Okay, so that's our movement. So now we move on to the Arkham encounter phase. And the only person who can have one is Min. But like I said before, I don't think she can encounter her space if there's still a gate here. So I think she kind of just skips that phase. So that's how I'm going to play it, at least. So now we move on to the Otherworld encounters. And Joe Dime is the first player, so he gets to go first. And he has to take another card because he got delayed last turn. He's still in space 1 of another dimension. Whoops. And another dimension has every color, so no matter what he draws. And a monster appears, it says. So he gets ambushed by a monster. So let's see what comes after him. We have his sneak pretty much all the way up since I moved it so he had maximum sneak since you don't use movement in another world. So hopefully it's somebody we can sneak past or kill because we'll still get the trophy. Let's see what we get. We get a cultist who has a -3 to sneak in away from. So I think we're going to be fighting this guy. But he's actually pretty easy to kill. Try to say that. La chicken flagon blah 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 whatever he's saying there. Some dark evil speech, alright? Okay, so the cultist actually is really hard to sneak past, but he has no sanity, no horror check, and he gives you a +1 on combat, and only 1 hit point. So that's probably the easiest monster in the game. Not really a monster, he's just a cultist. So we don't have to do the horror check, so we just move right to combat. So Joe has got 3 fight. He's going to use his Tommy gun, which gives him +6. So that's 10 dice. And we actually get a +1 on this guy. So we get 11 dice, and we only need 1 success. And we got 3 on the first 5 dice. So, yeah. I think that was the one chance that we were almost impossible to fail. So he actually kills the cultist, and he gets a trophy. So that's another trophy for him. He's got 2, worth 2 monster trophies. 2 toughness worth of monster trophies. If he needs 5 of them, and he has to turn in a unique item to complete his personal story. So that's pretty sweet. Okay, so Joe's done, and now we have to go with Mandy, who got stuck, who didn't cast her spell. So she's stuck in the City of the Great Race again. That's a yellow or a blue, so we pull a blue. You are lost in a labyrinth. Oh, come on. You are lost in a labyrinth of high walls. Pass a lore -1 check, or stay here next turn. Man, we keep getting these cards where we get delayed. Lore -1 check. The good thing is we put our lore all the way up to cast that spell, so we have a lore 4. So it's 3 dice, just like our spell that we failed, so hopefully we'll pass this time. I keep forgetting about her special ability too, where you get to re-roll all the dice once per turn for somebody. So I could have done that on her spell. I'm an idiot. It's hard to remember everything when there's so much. Alright, 6 and a 5, so she succeeds at that. So she does not get delayed until next turn. Okay, so I have to remember her ability because it's insanely powerful, and I always forget it. Okay, so that's the end of our arc of the Otherworld phase. So basically we go right into the Mythos phase. So a gate appears at Independence Square. So it is a gate to the Plateau of Lane. So Independence Square has a token that gets taken away, a clue. Independence Square is way up here in the top part of the normal Arkham board. So a monster appears. And it is a Deep One hybrid. So that is a Innsmouth monster. -1 to evade checks. He's not that bad. He's actually not that bad. I'll take him. So the monsters that are in Innsmouth don't count toward our monster limit. Remember, our monster limit is 6. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, counting the one in the sky. So we have 2 left before we have to worry about reaching our limit where monsters start going to the outskirts. So we're doing pretty good on that. But because the gate opened, remember, we have to roll doubles, and we also have to add another token to the Doom track. Which means we're at 7 of 11. And we have to roll doubles because the gate opened. Or if we roll doubles, we have to pull another Mythos card. And we get a 5 and a 3, so we're good. Okay. And now we get to do the rest of this card. So, a clue appears at the Unnameable, which has a gate, so no clue will go there. Hexagon moves down white. I believe, yes, the ghoul is a hexagon, so he moves with white, so he moves up to the Merchant District. Right here. Okay, who else we got here? We got a circle, which doesn't move in the sky. We have a square, which does not move this turn. The Deep One we just got is a plus. We don't have him. And the Proto Shogoth is a diamond. We don't have him, so nobody else moves. Okay, goat-like creatures spotted in woods. All Dark Young in Arkham are returned to the cup. If at least one monster returns to the cup, raise the terror level by 1. We don't have any Dark Young on the board, so that doesn't even happen. So that's good. But now, our main first player, who's Joe Diamond, has to draw an Innsmouth look card because of the Innsmouth Plague at the end of the Mythos phase. So he gets... it's the same, actually ends up being the same card we got last time. You do not have the Innsmouth look, nothing happens. Nice. Like I said, I'm not sure how many cards could affect you in here. I think when I was kind of looking through them really quick when I was setting the game up, it looked like there's only 1 card. But that seemed, out of 10. But there could be 2, I'm not sure. I didn't look really close. But most of them looked the same, and there's one that was different. So hopefully you don't see that different one. Okay, so that's the end of the phase. So we move on to the next round, actually. And it's going to be Min's turn. So let's figure out what I want to do. Okay, so I'm keeping Joe's and Mandy's stats where they're at. But I did move Min's speed up for 2 focus up 2 to 4. Because I have a plan with her. She's the first player. So what I want her to eventually do is, because remember we get -1 to our movement because of the Trembling Earth. And we have to roll that, because I keep forgetting. Well, I remember, but I don't remember until I start talking about it. At the start of each Upkeep phase, if we roll a 1, the terror level increases. It's a 1 for the first time. That's not good. Alright, so what that means is our terror level here increases by 1 for the first time. We go to 1, and what that means is that one of our allies leaves town. So these have been shuffled earlier, so we picked the card. And our ally, Professor Armitage, who, if we would have gotten him at some point during the game, would have given us +2 lore. And our attacks are not affected by magical resistance, which would be nice. He bails town. He's like, I'm out of here. This place is crazy now. There's too much gates opening up everywhere. There's monsters. I'm out of here. So he takes off because the terror level is at 1. And that's really all that happens. I know there's at least one ancient one that we fight against, that if every time an ally leaves town, something happens, and this one does not have that, so that's all that happens as of now. Okay, so for Min's movement, I put it to 4. We have -1 because of the Earth thing. So I want her to move 3 spaces, because that's what she gets, to the Historical Society, where she'll pick up this clue, which will give her 4. And then I'm going to use her motorcycle this turn. You exhaust it, which means that you just, put off to the side, and at the start of the next upkeep phase, you can unexhaust it, so you can use it again. And this gives us 2 extra movement points. And I'm going to use those 2 movement points to try to get this King in Yellow item going. Exhaust and spend 2 movement points to make a lore -2 check. If you pass, gain 4 clue tokens, lose 1 sanity, and discard the King in Yellow. If you fail, nothing happens. And I actually can't do that. I just noticed. But you know what? It would have been impossible for me to do it this turn anyway. The problem being, my lore is actually only at 2, and it's a -2 check, and I couldn't move my lore. I had to move my speed up 2 to get to that place. But I do have the Ancient Tome, which is a similar thing. So we'll do that one this time, and we'll give it a shot. So this one is similar, where you exhaust this and spend 2 move points to make a lore -1 check. If you pass, draw 1 spell and discard the tome. If you fail, nothing happens. So we'll use that one this time, because since we have a 2 in lore, we get 1 die, and if we fail, nothing happens. So it's not a big deal. So let's see if we can get a spell. 5, nice, we get a spell. Which means we have to discard the Ancient Tome. And her personal story means she has to read 3 tomes. It just says read them, it doesn't say we have to keep them. So I think we can discard that, fine. And we get a spell. So that's nice. So we get the Voice of Ra. So let's see what this thing does. Costs 1 sanity to cast it, -1 modifier. During the upkeep phase, you may cast and exhaust to gain +1 to all skill checks for the rest of the turn. That's pretty nice. Okay. So that's a spell that she can cast. It's also the second spell she has, and if you remember, we need 2 spells at Church Green up in Innsmouth to get rid of that Innsmouth plague. We'd have to discard them, though. So it's something she could work on going to try to get rid of that thing, but I don't know. We'll see. But for now, she stayed at the Historical Society, got her clue. She's up to 4. Okay, so Mandy's up, and Mandy is actually going to be moving from the other world back to the City of the Great Race, which there's actually 2 of them now. There's one way up in Innsmouth, and there's another one that opened up actually over here in the Unnameable. So she technically could go back to either one. you don't have to go back to the same one you went in, as long as it has the same name. You can come out the other one. I kind of almost rather go to this one. There's a monster here, but when you come out of a gate, you don't actually have to you don't have to fight the monster, and it's one of the tougher ones. But the problem with this guy is if his thing comes up, she will lose 1 sanity and 1 stamina. If his movement comes up at the end of the turn. So when you come out of a gate, if there's a monster on the gate, you don't fight the monster. You don't fight him unless you end your turn here on the next turn. So you can actually move away from it too next round. I think I'm going to send her back to the one over here just because she came in, because I don't want to deal with him possibly damaging her. She only has 2 sanity left. And I want to take him down to 1. So we're going to go back here to the Devil Reef, because that just sounds like a nicer place to go, the Devil Reef. So she goes back out here for her movement. And then Joe is down here, and he gets to move over for his turn. So we're going to start now with Min at the Historical Society. So this is our first chance at doing a South Side encounter. So it says there's a chance for skills and spells here. But let's see, the way we've been going, there's going to be a monster that ambushes us. So let's see. Okay, pass a luck -1 check to gain insight into a skill while studying the old volumes of books. Draw 1 skill, but stay here next turn. Oh boy. So if we pass it, we have to stay here next turn, but we get a skill. Luck -1, 2 check. Ooh, what is that? Oh, I think that means we need 2 successes. So it says different here. It says luck -1, and then there's a 2 next to it. So we get luck -1, but I think we need 2 successes to actually pass this, not just 1. So that's a pretty rough one. And her luck is a 2. So we have 1 die. So we actually can't even succeed at this, because we won't be able to get 2 successes. Yeah, so really it's pointless to even go for it, because we're going to need we need 2 successes to do it, and we can only have 1 die, and I'm not spending a clue on it, because we finally got 4 clues with her. Alright, so this is just going to go back. And because she didn't succeed and doesn't spend time reading the book either, she doesn't have to stay here next turn. So she can get moving to try to get something done. Because she moved out of the woods, though, this token does go away to say that she has a chance to close it. Okay, so another Arkham encounter. Now that Mandy is out of the gate and way up there and out of the gate, she can try to close this gate. So the gates have their own modifiers. So this one has a +0, so nothing here that change the dice we get to try to close this thing. And the way you close gates is you use either fight or lore, whatever one you want to use. You have a choice. So her lore is at 4, her fight is at 3. So we're going to use the lore to close the gate. So let's see what we get. We get 4 dice. And she doesn't have a bonus of any kind to lore. But she does have her ability once per turn to re-roll a skill check. So she could re-roll these dice if she fails. So all we need is 1 success, a 5 or a 6 to close this gate. We have 4 dice. So let's do it. And we get a 6 right there. So with that 6, we get to close the gate. which means the gate comes off the board. And she gets to keep this as a gate trophy, which can be used to buy things and to do other things in the town. So she gets to keep this as a gate trophy. And the other thing that happens when you close a gate is every gate has a symbol. So a triangle here for this gate. So if we had any monsters on the board that matched that symbol, they actually get taken back to the monster cup and leave the game. Not the game, but they go back to the cup. Problem is we don't have any with a triangle on the board, I don't believe. So sometimes you close a gate, there's nobody there to get rid of. So we don't get rid of any monsters. But the one thing we can do, and the most important thing, is spend our 5 clues that she has saved up to seal the gate. And that is what we need to do. So what we do is the other side of the Doom tokens. So these are the Doom tokens that we've been seeing the whole game since we keep getting so many of them. The other side of them is an elder sign. And when you seal a gate, you put the elder sign on the location. And that means that that gate is now sealed. And any time in the game we would be able to open a gate on that location, the gate will not open. It stops it from opening. There is a certain type of gate called a burst that can actually break through that elder sign and break it and still come. That was not in the original game. I think it is in Innsmouth though, and some of the other expansions that they added just to make the game harder, because I don't know why. So, but that's a good thing. So, but it's 1 of 6. So we've got the first one done. The first gate is sealed. We spent the 5 clues to seal it after we closed it. So that is pretty awesome. And now it is the end of our Arkham encounter phase. So we move on to Joe, who's in the other world. And he has to do one more other world encounter here. And next turn he comes out and he's going to try to close the woods. So another dimension. Any color. Alright, you push yourself to the limit. Roll 1 die for each point of stamina you have. Lose 1 stamina for each die that does not roll a success. If you do not fall unconscious, gain 1 clue token for each die that rolled a success. Is that good or bad? That sounds bad to me. Mandy does have her reroll that he can use because she didn't use it. So he has 6 stamina, so he has to roll 6 dice. And for every one that he does not roll, he loses a stamina. For every success he does not get. And every success he does get, he gains a clue token. Alright, so he gets 1 more die after this. So he gets 2 successes and 1 more die. So 2 successes. So he would lose 4 health and get 2 clue tokens. Okay, so Mandy's ability, research, once per turn, herself or any investigator can re-roll all the dice rolled for that check that did not result in successes. So that means he can keep the 2 he succeeded on and re-roll the other 4. So let's do that. Well, that's 2 more successes, and then 1 more die. Okay, so he had 2 fails and 4 successes. So it actually worked out decent. So he loses 2 health. And gets 4 clues. Wow. Alright, 4 clues. That's pretty awesome. He's got tons of clues now. That card worked out well in the end because of her ability. He would have lost 4 health and got 2 clues. Instead he got... So now I'm hoping that works because it says it's a test. Or just a skill check. I don't know if that was a skill check. So I don't know if he's supposed to get that re-roll. After any investigator makes a skill check. That wasn't actually a skill check, was it? That was just rolling dice based on your stamina. There was no skill involved in that. So I think that he could not re-roll. Yeah, I don't think he could. So technically, he gets 2 clues and loses 4 health, not 2 health and 4 clues. So he loses 2 more health. So he's down to 2 health now. Yeah, that wasn't a skill check. That was just a different type of roll that you normally don't get in the game. So he's kind of stuck with that, I think. I think that's the right way to do it. I would have loved to give him 4 clues and lose 2 health, but I don't think that's correct. So if I'm wrong, I screwed myself. I'd rather screw myself than cheat the game knowingly, I guess, you know. Like, if I'm not sure, I'd rather get it right. Okay, so that is the end of that round. So we do the Mythos card. We did seal a gate this turn, so that's good. Let's see what evils we get. The Silver Twilight Lodge. There's not a gate there, so that's a new gate. And it goes to another dimension. Which means we get another monster. And that monster is a ghost. And ghosts kind of suck. They have -3 to evade checks, and they have physical immunity, so only magic hits them. They're undead, and they have some crappy ass things to worry about. They're also yellow, which means that they don't move during the move phase. Because that's just the way the yellow monsters work. They're going to basically stay there the whole time. Okay, so we open a new gate, which means another Doom token on the Ancient One. He's at 8. And we get to roll and hopefully not get doubles. So let's roll. And we get a 5 and a 4, so we're good on that. Okay. And now we do the rest of the card. A clue appears at the graveyard, which is actually a good thing, because the graveyard is over here, and it does not, already has a clue on it, so it's 2 clues at the graveyard, so that's a good place to go. You know, I don't think you normally want to go to a graveyard in this game, but we want to get those clues. And then, let's see, circle moves. So our circle monster is the flyer. Nobody's in the streets, so he does not move. Square moves and diamond. So let's see, we have a moon. We have a square here, which is the Loiger, but he's a green monster, so you just read what it says. Instead of moving, all investigators in this or any adjacent locations or streets lose a sanity and a stamina. There's nobody adjacent to him, so he doesn't affect anybody. Our ghoul doesn't move. Our Deep One hybrid does not move. And our diamond does move, and that is the Proto Shogoth. So he does move, and he does the he moves into the vortex for the first time in the game. Someone moves into the vortex up in Innsmouth. There's a vortex space right here, and basically the only place where you could, the black and the white both lead to it. So as long as he was moving to the vortex. So he goes in there. I actually think I screwed up earlier because he is a red monster. And a red monster actually moves twice when they move. That's their thing. They're fast. So actually the last time he moved, he should have moved twice, and he should have actually already been in the vortex before. So that was a mistake I made, but since he's red, I caught it now, but a little late. But yeah, red monsters move twice. Screwed that up from earlier. Okay, so when the monster does move into the vortex, he gets immediately returned to the cup, which is a good thing. But the bad thing is that the terror level goes up 1 when that happens. So our terror level goes from 1 to 2, which means that one of our allies leaves town. And that is going to be Richard Upton Pickman, who would have given us +1 to luck, +1 to speed, and our attacks are not affected by physical resistance. So Richard bails. And the other thing that happens, which is the main part of of this whole expansion that we're using, is that when a creature goes in a vortex, one of the deep one tokens go on the track. So that's 1 of 6. Now, if these ever all fill up all the way, the ancient one immediately comes out. And the only way to get rid of these is to go to different locations in Innsmouth and spend clues and fill up this clue track here. And when that happens, the feds come in. Basically, they says the feds. They get called in and they take care of these monsters. They go away, and that's how you stop it from happening. So since there's only 1 on there right now, I don't think we have to worry. But eventually we will. Maybe. It just depends. I mean, our ancient one's almost out. He's got 3 more Doom tokens the way this is going. So I don't think it's going to take a long time before he might get out here to begin with anyway, and we're in trouble. Okay, so then we're done with that. Now we go to the Police Step Up patrols in Northside. All monsters in the Northside streets or locations are returned to the cup. Of course, the Northside is up here. There are no monsters in Northside, so that card, while it sounds nice, is actually wasted on this turn. Okay, so the last thing we have to do, because of Innsmouth, is pull an Innsmouth look card for Min. Because of the Innsmouth plague at the end of the Mythos phase. So we're going to pull the top card we shuffled from last time. And it says you do not have the Innsmouth look, nothing happens. So, again, we get lucky on those. Nothing's happening with those Innsmouth look. Okay, so that's done. And that is the end of our turn. So that's it. So I think we're going to stop there. We did 2 turns, I believe. So we're going to stop now and continue on. We're not looking very good. Our Doom track is rising quickly. We have sealed the gate finally. Hopefully next turn, Joe Diamond is going to come out and seal the woods. That's the plan. So we'll have 2 gates sealed, but we still have a long way to go to seal 6 before he comes out. The good thing is there's not really a lot of gates on the board, but there are gates. So remember, another way to win is if you have the same amount of gates as tokens as players, gate trophies, but there's no other gates on the board. But that's, even if we seal this one, we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 gates out there. So that's a really difficult way to win. Sealing the gates is the best way to do it. And I don't know if we're going to have enough time to do it, but we'll see how we do. Thanks for watching, and see you guys later. Take care.